Well, I want to hear what got you in this race, and I don't want to hear your stock lines of working families and hardworking people. I want to know kind of what went into your decision-making process.
Sure.
You were looking at 3 options.
Right.
What was kind of the tipping point for you? What got you in?
Well, there were a tremendous number of people out there that were encouraging me, tremendous number of Arkansans encouraging me to get in the race. There some folks had set up a draft Bill Halter website. We were getting emails into to our website. We were also getting calls into the office. And then, I was being stopped when I was out in public with my family or out, just roaming around, seeing folks in coffee shops and so forth. People were coming up and encouraging me to do it. I'm not saying we didn't think about it, deeply, and certainly wouldn't tell you that we weren't carefully exploring the options, but it really was the sort of enthusiasm of folks for the campaign. And look, that campaign in the first, that enthusiasm for the campaign in the first 6 days now has really been extraordinary.
I'm going to give your campaign an A+ for discipline because they did not leak a single iota of information about what they were doing. You got good people working for you there.
Absolutely.
In terms of tight lips.
Good team.
Your netroots support, internet grassroots support, has exceeded, I believe, $1.1 million in terms of funds raised so far. You've been surprised by that number, or were you wishing for more?
Well, I got to tell you, I've been extraordinarily surprised and very grateful. And I want folks to know that the average amount of the contributions coming in has been $30. And they're coming in from folks who I know that $30 means giving up the possibility of a night out with the family, or giving up the possibility of going out for the movies with a spouse.
So you got a little over $1 million from some of these small donors, and with the help of some of this internet grassroots organizations like MoveOn.org that are capable of mobilizing big masses of people like that.
Right.
You've got a $4 million commitment, at least as of this taping, with organized labor that is interested in seeing Blanche Lincoln defeated. That will obviously work to your benefit.
Right.
You've said that there's no quid pro quo between these groups and you, but what is the understanding? How do they know that you are a person capable of supporting the positions that they support? Well,
I got to tell you that the folks that have made these commitments and contributions, they've asked me for absolutely nothing. In fact, it's really sort of gratifying. I think they believe what they've told me is they really want somebody to stand up for average, working Arkansans. And there's not been a single commitment made, nor one asked for on any issues like this. I think folks that are supportive have looked at my track record as lieutenant governor of kind of going directly at some special interests and really refusing to back down in the face of opposition from those self-interest and advancing an agenda that Arkansans, when they get the chance to vote for it, they do. You think of the scholarship lottery. We got stymied in the legislature. We had to go out and get 135,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. We successfully did that. And then the next thing you know, somebody's taking us to court to try to deny Arkansans the right to vote. We win that court battle, take it to the people, and the people vote overwhelmingly for it. It passes by almost 2-1.
Back to the money trail again, though. The organized labor committing this $4 million, that's going to come through an independent expenditure committee. There should be an arm's length distance between a campaign and these IE committees.
Yep.
Are you comfortable with the separation that exists?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So how will you have any understanding of what it is that they are planning to do? Will you see it on the television the day that it happens?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is independent, and in fact, that's the way these work. And, I'm not going to be surprised to see an independent expenditure effort on behalf of Senator Lincoln either. When you take on, these powerful special interests and you're going at them and pointing out that the large dollar contributions they make in politics have an effect on the way the policy process plays out, I expect that they'll mount up a counterattack.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 2 ads that you've rolled out this week. Both very effective bio spots as well as some messaging in there. We talked about the lottery already. That's a big part of it. You also talk about your efforts to stop privatization of Social Security. Tell me some background of what it is that you did to lead that charge?
Sure. Well, the first part was as the deputy commissioner and then the acting commissioner of Social Security, there were efforts underway then to privatize it, and that was not something that I favored and fought it while at the deputy commissioner of Social Security. But in addition, afterward, after I re-entered the private sector and was out of government service, the effort to privatize Social Security was raised by the Bush administration. And I was asked by a group called Americans United to Protect Social Security to use the background and expertise that I had to go out and actually campaign against that proposal. And I did so. Traveled to Iowa, traveled to North Carolina, actually also came here to Arkansas and did some events with then Attorney General, but now Senator Mark Pryor, to talk about privatization as well. So this is something that I'm very happy that we did, because I'd like folks to imagine what things would be like for Arkansans right now if we had, in fact, put a significant amount of Social Security into the stock market, given the performance of the stock market, over the last couple of years. As you know well, Roby, we saw a market fall in excess of 30% from peak. And for those folks who might have been relying on that for their Social Security benefits, that would have been a tremendous blow to their ability to continue on the way they have.
Let's talk about this theme that I think we're going to hear a lot about over the next year from just about everyone,
Sure.
that Washington, D.C. is broken.
Sure, yep.
But yet you've affiliated with some groups that have very big influence in Washington, D.C. I think you would be attacking some of your strengths in this campaign if you were on the other side of the fence at this point in time. So, I mean, kind of how do you massage that message of you're running against a broken Washington, D.C. You're not there, but you do have support from people that are part of that broken establishment.
Well, I guess what I'd say is two things. I mean, first, I'm going to run on my own record and the things that I've tried to accomplish and accomplished, and also the things that I would like to accomplish as a United States Senator. That's the first thing I would say. And secondly, to the degree that I do have Washington experience, I think it's actually been successful experience. For example, I spent 6 years in the White House Budget Office, and when I came in along with the team from the Clinton administration, you'll recall we had $250 billion deficits, and they were actually projected to go up into the hundreds of billions of dollars. And I worked for 6 years with a team of people at the White House Budget Office, and a lot of things came together in the right way, and the federal budget was balanced and actually in surplus for the first time in 40 years. Now, that obviously that performance has been absolutely wrecked since. We now have deficits that are as high as they've been since World War II, when there was an obvious need for deficit spending to protect the country. And these deficits are projected out well into the future, raising our debt to GDP ratio in ways that actually could wind up being quite dangerous. So I'm happy to go back and point out that experience, working on establishing fiscal responsibility. And I would contrast that with the performance of Washington, since that time, where we clearly have federal budget deficits that are out of control, and we also have a situation where I don't think it's ever been more evident about the power of special interests to block change as it is right now.
You've been painted as a liberal by some folks that are detractors of yours.
Yeah.
So are you a liberal?
I find it amazing that folks want to put these one-word labels on people. Most of the time in politics, I've discovered that when people are trying to put a one-word label on someone, it's usually with the intention to either distract or destroy. I think that I and every other official out there and every other person, every other voter is far more complicated than a one-word label. And, it's amazing to me because I just, you brought up something that touches on faith, and let me pivot there and talk about it a little bit. I don't know how anyone could try to put a one-word label on any of God's creation. I mean, it's really incredible. But if we're going to do that, if that's what we want to do, can't we all agree that the first one-word label we ought to put on folks is American? I mean, let's start there, right? And then if you want to go to a second or a third adjective and so forth, we'll go from there. I find it incredible and disconcerting. You're going to, as we go forward, you're going to see policy positions from me that some people are going to regard as conservative, some people are going to regard as moderate, some people are going to regard as liberal or progressive, or whatever label you want to put on it. Let me say this: I hope that we can bring people together rather than using these one-word labels that I'm just convinced that most of the time the intention is to divide people.